Hello, students. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, a very good morning to all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
And
sir.
Good morning, sir.
yeah, good morning. So, before moving further, I request all of you to please mark your attendance in the provided attendance sheet so that we can move further.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
Apart from that, I have also passed the link for the previous lectures. So, all of you have got that link.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So now I'll assume that all of you have marked attendance and most of you have joined the class. So let us start today's class. Okay. So today we are going to discuss the concept of digital signature. I'm damn sure that you would have heard about this particular keyword digital signature many times, right? In recent times. So let us discuss how exactly the concept of digital signature works in cryptography. So in this particular lecture, we are going to define what is a digital signature. Then we are also going to see the services, the security services, which are being provided by a digital signature. Then we will see some of the schemes which includes the concept of digital signatures. The schemes include RSA, ACML, SNORS, and DSS, and ECC as well. And we are also going to see some of the applications of digital signature in this lecture. So before moving further, let me ask all of you whether have you got the concept of asymmetric cryptography uh, or not? In the earlier classes, when we took the classes, we discussed the concept of symmetric key cryptography and asymmetric key cryptography, right? In symmetric key cryptography, we use the same key for encryption and decryption, while in case of asymmetric key cryptography, we use a pair of keys, right? And in that pair, we have got one private key and one public key, right? So, can I assume that all of you have got, or all of you are very well aware regarding the concept of asymmetric cryptography? Should I assume that?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, very well, fine. And the moment I assume that, should I also assume that all of you have already got the concept of RSA, ACML, and ECC comprehensively? I'm waiting for your response. Should I assume that all of you are very well aware regarding the working of RSA, ACML, and ACC?
Yes, sir. Yes,
On
sir.
okay, two replies. What about others?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So now I'll assume that all of you are very well
Yes,
aware
sir.
of the working of asymmetric cryptography. Okay, and you are also very well aware about the some famous schemes of asymmetric cryptography such as RSA, ACML, and ACC, right? Because in this particular lecture we are going to see all those schemes once again. Okay, so I'll not put that much of time while discussing those schemes again. So first of all, let us just try to differentiate our digital signature with the conventional one. So the moment we talk about a conventional signature, then we can say that our conventional signature include a signature in it, right? Along with the document, we do have a signature onto it, and then we send it. But the moment we send it, the signature and the document are together only. Means the signature is a part of the document. And the moment we talk about the digital signature, in that case, you can also send a signature as a separate document. Means a document will be a separate entity and your signature will be a separate entity. So this is the basic difference between your conventional signature, where your signature is a part of the document, and in case of your digital signature, the signature is not a part of the document. This is the basic difference. Apart from that, they also differ in verification methods. For a conventional signature, when the recipient receives a document, he or she compares the signature on the document with the signature on file, right? And for a digital signature, the recipient receives the message and the signature. The recipient needs to apply a verification technique to the combination of message and the signature to verify the authenticity. So the moment you have the conventional signature or a document which has got a conventional signature, what do? You just compare it with the previous signatures, right? If they matches, then you can say that the document is intact and has not been changed, right? While in case of digital signature, the signature which you have sent as a separate entity will be matched by the again created signature. If both the signature matches, then you can say that the signature has not been changed. And apart from that, there is one more thing, that the moment we talk about digital signature, there is a concept of encrypting with a private key. We'll see how exactly that will work in later part. Okay. So the relationship for a conventional signature, there is a normally one-to-many relationship between a signature and a document. Okay. And in case of digital signature, there is a one-to-one relationship between a signature and a message. That means in case of conventional signature, a single signature means I can sign number of documents with the same signature. But the moment you talk about digital signature, the same is not true. Only a particular signature will be valid for a particular document only. There is a one-to-one relationship. Means a signature which has been created by a document will not be valid for the other documents. So over here, in case of a digital signature, there is a one-to-one relationship between the document and the signature, while the same is not true in case of your conventional signatures. Okay. Now the duplicity. In conventional signature, a copy of the signed document can be distinguished from the original one. While in case of digital signature, there is no such distinction unless there is a factor of time on the document. And now let us talk about the process which we adopt in order to create a digital signature. So in the coming slide, we'll see the process with the help of a diagram, where we have got a sender and a receiver. The sender uses a signing algorithm to sign the algorithm, and then the message and the signature are being sent to the receiver, where receiver receives the message and the signature, and then it applies the verifier or verifying algorithm to the combination. If the result is true, then the message is accepted. Otherwise, the message is rejected. So this is how the overall process works. Arpita. Okay. Just okay. So in this particular diagram, we can see that we have got two parties. In this diagram, we have got two parties, Alice and Bob. And the moment Alice wants to send a message M to Bob, what she is doing? She is applying one signing algorithm upon a message. Then the message along with the signature is being sent to the Bob, where Bob again applying some verifying algorithm, and then it gets back the he gets back the message. So this is the general overview of your digital signature process. Now, why there is a need for keys? So this is very important slide. You can see the diagram, which will understand you how exactly the digital signature process works. So in this diagram, again, we've got two parties, Alice and Bob, and we have got a message M. And now we can see that the keys are being used. Okay. In the earlier diagram, we just told that some signing algorithms are being used, some verifying algorithms are being used. In this diagram, we are seeing the detailing of those signing and verifying algorithm. So let's say this signing algorithm is making the use of a private key, and of course earlier we do have created a pair of keys. That means we have created a private key and a public key. Now the point which has to be noted over here is that Alice is using the private key at the first place. If you recall, in the earlier cases, while we were studying RSA, ACML, and ECC, first the public key was being distributed and the process of encryption was being done with the help of the public key. Then the private key was being used to decrypt the things or decrypt the messages. But over here, the things are being started with a private key, not the public key. Okay, so whatever message we have got, that message is being signed with the help of a public key. Then that message along with the signature is being sent to the Bob, where Bob is making the use of a public key in order to verify the message with the help of a verifying algorithm. Okay, so our digital signature needs a public key system because we need to have a private key and public key. Then the signer signs with a private key. Then the verifier verifies the signers with a public key. Okay, so this is what happens in your digital signature process. So this is another important point which we have to take a note of. In a crypto system, or a crypto system uses the private and public keys of the receiver. Means the private and public keys of the receivers are being used or is generally used whenever we talk about a typical asymmetric key crypto system. And the moment we talk about a digital signature, then we use private and public key of the sender, not the receiver. This is the major difference. Okay, earlier we were using the private and public keys of the receiver, but now we are using the private and public keys of the sender. Okay, and the same has been discussed in the previous slide. Okay. Now, there is one more important observation, that if we apply the asymmetric cryptography concept, then we know it is very computationally intensive process, right? So what we can do, rather than applying the concept of public key and private key on the original message, we can apply this particular concept or this particular crypto system on the message digest. Okay, so rather than applying asymmetric key crypto system on the message itself, we do apply this crypto system on a message digest or a hash value, and this will reduce the complexity of the overall system. Okay, so rather than signing the message, we can sign the digest, but we have to make sure that the security of hash function is good enough. Otherwise, the overall system will get failed if your hash function is not that much good. Okay, so over here again we have got a message, then we create a message digest from this message, then the created message digest is being signed by Alice private key, then has been sent to the Bob along with the message. Okay, then Bob verified the message with the help of Alice public key, and from the received message again Bob creates a message digest. If both matches, that means the Alice has only sent the message. Okay, because this can be only opened with the help of Alice public key. So that will imply that this particular message has only been sent by the Alice only. Okay, now these services which are being provided by digital signature, the security services, means the moment we use the digital signatures, then the benefits which we are going to get. So the benefits we get after using a digital signature are message authentication, message integrity, non-repudiation, and confidentiality. So these four things we can have when we think of digital signature. So let us discuss each one of them one by one. Message authentication. So I guess this would be pretty much clear to all of you how exactly we can have the message authentication, because the messages are being signed by, we can say we are applying the concept of keys in the overall process. So this is how we can ensure the message authentication. Okay, so there is nothing new which we are discussing. This has been discussed in detail when we were seeing the concept of your MEC and all in the earlier classes. Now, of course, the message integrity, the integrity of the message is preserved even if you sign the whole message, because we cannot get the same signature if the message is changed. Okay, so this is obvious. Okay, so we can say that the message authentication and message integrity are being provided by digital signature, and these two things we have discussed in detail in the earlier classes. Okay, now this is the new one, non-repudiation. Okay, so the moment we talk about digital signature, then we can also say that the process of the non-repudiation can also be provided. So in order to ensure non-repudiation, over here we need to use a third party, and this third party is known as trusted third party or a trusted center. So in this case, what these two can do, these two can contact each other via trusted third party. They will not interact directly. Okay, means we are trying to discuss a scenario where the Bob can say that I have not received the message from Alice. Okay, so we are just trying to avoid such scenarios. So over here, the trusted third party will distribute its public key, or you can say it will keep its public key open to all, and anyone can use the public key of the trust party. Okay, so in this case particularly, the Alice has got or you can say the Alice is encrypting the message with the help of a private key, then this particular communication will include the message. Then this essay will include the identity of the Alice, the identity of the Bob, and the signature. Okay, so this will be sent to the trusted center. Okay, and over here the communication is being done with the trusted center directly. Okay, then after receiving the message from Alice, this trusted third party then make the use of the private key, the public key of the Bob. Okay, so that this message can only be decrypted by the Bob. But over here, the moment trusted third party receives the communication from the Alice, they keep a copy of the communication. Why? Because it may possible that in future Alice may deny that I have not communicated any time with the Bob, or I have not sent any message to Bob. So that particular copy can be shown to Alice that earlier you have sent the message. So this will disapprove the claim of Alice. So this is how the overall thing works, where the communication is being taking place with the help of a trusted third party or plays a role of intermediator. Okay, and this is a very, very important point. Now, confidentiality. Earlier, we have seen that the digital signature do provide message authentication, message integrity, then non-repudiation can also be provided by the digital signatures, and now the confidentiality. Since the digital signature do use public key crypto system, but they use that system with a tweak, and the tweak is they first make a use of the private key, or you can say that the pair of keys of the sender are being used. That is the difference, and due to that change we cannot ensure the confidentiality. That means the moment you encrypt your message with the sender's private key, then it can be decrypted by anybody. So that will break this secrecy or the confidentiality. So in that case, the moment you want to have the confidentiality with digital signature, then again you have to use a typical public crypto system or your typical asymmetric cryptographic algorithm. Okay, so this will be a different part where only the signing process are being done, signing and verifying process are being done. So you can say the typical digital signature process, and the moment you want to add the confidentiality into it, then you have to apply your typical asymmetric cryptographic algorithm as a separate part. Okay, so this will be considered as an input to your asymmetric crypto system. Then again we will use the Bob's public key to encrypt this one, and it will be decrypted with the help of a Bob's private key at the other end. Okay, these red color keys are your private one, and these black color keys are your public. Okay, so this is how we can have the confidentiality as well in digital signature by adding this one more step. Okay, so a digital signature does not provide privacy. If there is a need for privacy, then another layer of encryption or decryption must be applied. Okay, so this is how we get these 4 security services in digital signature. Now, the digital signature can be used with a variety of schemes. So over here you can see that we have a private key, we have a public key. Then in order to provide the confidentiality, again we can use your asymmetric key crypto system, right? So all this particular concept of digital signature can be provided with the help of the number of schemes which we have studied earlier as well, like RSA, ECMAL, okay, ACC, and these are two new ones. So we will see each one of them. So let's first discuss how RSA is being integrated in digital signature scheme. So just we need to recall that in RSA we were first trying to generate the key, or we first generate the pair of keys, right? Public key and private key. So there is a process of key generation in RSA. Then the moment we generate the key, then we encrypt the message and decrypt the message with the help of those public key and private key. So the same is being happening over here as well. Okay, so let's say we have got some input, then the signing process is being done, and let's say after the signing process we have got a signature. Okay, then this particular signature is being passed to the other party. Then with the help of this signature along with the other key, a value is being generated, or you can say a message digest or any intermediate value is being generated. If it matches with the received one, then the message is accepted, otherwise not. So this is how the things work. As I told you that the key generation in the RSA digital signature scheme is exactly the same as the key generation in RSA. There is no change. So in RSA digital signature scheme, D is considered as a private key and E and E are considered as a public key. So this is the detailed diagram where we can see that Alice and Bob are trying to communicate together. Okay. Now the moment we integrate RSA into digital signature, this is how the whole scheme will look like. So let's say Alice is trying to send a message M, and now this particular message is being signed with the help of Alice private key, this one. Okay, and after applying this private key, we are getting a signature S. Okay, and then the signature and the message is being sent to the other party, where with the help of that signature and the public key, one more message, let's say M dash is being created, and if this M dash matches with the received message M, then we can say that this is true or being sent by the Alice only. Okay, and then hence the message can be accepted by Bob. So this is how the RSA has been integrated in along with the digital signature. Okay, so I hope you guys will not have any doubt. Straightforward. And now this is how the RSA scheme can be applied on the message digest. Earlier we were applying the RSA scheme on the message directly, but since we know that will increase the complexity of the whole system, so therefore we can apply the RSA scheme on the message digest rather than applying it on the message directly. Okay, so this will reduce the complexity of the overall system. Okay. So when the digest is signed instead of the message itself, the susceptibility of the RSA digital signature scheme depends on the strength of the hash algorithm. So that we have discussed earlier that the moment you are trying to use the message digest, then you have to make sure that the hash algorithms which we are using is a strong one, like the Whirlpool or your SHA-512. Now the Egmel digital signature scheme, I'll not discuss how we are going to generate the keys, okay, and how exactly the process of encryption and decryption are being done. Since in the beginning of this class, I have asked all of you that whether you guys are comfortable with RSA, Egmel, and this and all. Okay, so again, I will not discuss all the things in detail since we have already discussed all of them in class. Okay, in a comprehensive manner. So you can exercise the process of key generation and the verification, signing and verification as a part of exercise. Okay. So in general, again, we are having the private key and public key. Okay. This time the Alice private key is D and the Alice public key is E1, E2, and P. Okay. So As you would have recalled that in case of Agmail crypto system, we were creating two things, and these two things were being passed to the receiver or the other party, right? So rather than encrypting a single thing, we are encrypting two things, or we are sending a couple of things, and then both the things are being processed by the other party. And if the things matches with the original one, then we can say that things have not been changed or has been sent by the legitimate user only. Okay, so this is how uh, again the key generation process is same the way we have discussed earlier. And this is our public key and this is our private key. This is your private key. So this is how the exact schemes look like. Okay, where you can see that your signature 1 is being created by this expression and your signature 2 is being created by this expression. Okay, and the point which has to be noted over here, or in this case as well, that we are doing all the things with the help of a private key, not a public key. Okay, so that is why a little bit of tweaks you can observe in the expressions. Okay, so the two signatures have been created at the sender's end. Let's say those two signatures are S1 and S2, and these two signatures are being sent along with the message to the next party or other party. Then with the help of these two signatures, we are creating a value. Let's say it is V2, and with the message we are creating or we are evaluating a value. Let's say this E1, V1, and the moment these V1 and V2 are converged to each other, that means we can say that the message has been sent by the legitimate user only, and hence message can be accepted. Okay, so this is how the digital signature can be integrated in Agmail crypto system. Okay. Now, as since I have left all these things as a part of exercise, so that is why I have included one example as well, so you can work out on this example to get the understanding of this process. Okay, and the same has been done with the other part as well. Now, Schnorr's digital signature scheme. This one is pretty much similar to your Agmail crypto system as well. But there is a difference. The difference is in the Agmail crypto system, we need to have P which was very large. Okay. Earlier the assumed prime number P, we need to assume it very large. So, and that can be, let's say 1024 bits or 2048 bits. So to reduce the size of the signature, Schnorr has proposed a new scheme, and it was based on Agmail, of course, as we are discussing. And with the help of this, or you can say they have proposed the Agmail scheme with some modification with a reduced size of P. Okay, and apart from that, they have also made the use of two modules. Earlier, we were using only one module, P only. Okay, and this time we are using two modules. So this is the two basic difference in between your Schnorr digital scheme and your Agmail digital signature scheme. So just you need to recall, otherwise the rest of things are same. Okay, and again the process of key generations and all are pretty much similar to your Agmail crypto system. Okay, you can observe over here as well. So this is why we are discussing this one, because we are going to discuss a digital signature standard as well, and that digital signature standard is based upon this Schnorr digital signature scheme only. So these things are pretty much similar to your Agmail crypto system as well. Okay, where we are verifying the things with the help of a private key, and again these are the assumed numbers, and E1 and E2 and all your evaluated things, the way we evaluate in Agmail. So again, a pair of signatures are being created along with the means pair of signatures are being sent along with the message to the receiver or the next party. Then these two signatures are being used along with the message to create a hash value. Okay, and if it matches with this S1, then we can say that the message has been originated from Alice only. If they do not match, then we can say that the message has not been sent by the Alice. Okay. And again, I have included the signing and verifying process. Okay. So now let us discuss another concept: digital signature standard. This was adopted as a standard by NIST in 1994, and it is based upon Eggman's scheme with some ideas from Schnorr's schemes. And DSS has been criticized many times the moment it has got published. And the main complaint regarding secrecy of DSS design means how exactly or how you have designed the DSS, that was the main complaint. And the second complaint regarding the size of the prime numbers. So in the earlier cases, the size of the prime number was only 512 bits. We're talking about P. So later on, after the complaint, all these things have been improved or have been incorporated. So as I told you that this is similar to Schnorr, but in this case, the inputs are different over here. Okay, earlier we were not passing the message digest. If you can see this one over here. Okay, so this is the first difference. And the another difference is that the scheme uses the message digest as a part of the inputs to function 2 and 3. Okay, the first thing, the inputs were different, and the second thing, the digests are being used at both the ends. Okay, so this is the typical difference between the Schnorr scheme and your DSS. Okay, and rest of the things are pretty much similar. How we are generating the keys and all. Okay, like this and all. And this is how the thing works for signing and verifying and signing part. So these are your DSS scheme. And if you try to compare DSS with RSA or Eggmail, then we have got few points. The computation of DSS signature is faster than the computation of RSA signature when we use the same P. Okay, and in case of Eggmail, means what is the difference? The moment we use DSS in place of Eggmail, the DSS signatures are smaller than your Eggmail signatures because over here the Q is smaller than P. So these are the basic difference. And of course, to understand this topic, I have included one example as well, so that you can see how the process of signing and verifying are happening. So this is what I have just discussed, that what is the difference the moment you use DSS in place of RSA or Eggmail. And the same thing can be done with ECC as well. So as you can see, all these are the same. Since we already discussed ECC, Eggmail, and RSA, the process of signing and the verifying are almost same, just with a little bit of tweaks. And why those tweaks are there? Because we are first using the private key instead of public key. So that is why some change of variables are there. Okay, so I am leaving all this calculation as a part of exercise. Okay, so since we have already discussed and we have got a base of this thing, so this will not be too much difficult for you guys. So I'll end this class, and these are the two variations of your digital signatures where the timestamps can be provided along with the signature. Okay, So this way we can come to know that at what time the digital signature can be, at what time the digital signature have been originated. Okay. And many times we need to have a document which you want to get it signed without revealing the content of the document or the sign. So these two are the variations of a digital signature. I guess things are pretty much clear. Okay. If you have any doubt, then you can ask me. So, any doubt? Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
So-
sir.
Okay, so what I would recommend that just please go through all the variations of digital signature. Okay, the variations of the various schemes which we have just integrated along with digital signatures. Okay, the expressions are almost same. Just have a look into all those expressions and just solve it with the help of the given example. So that way you will be able to understand how exactly those things are working. Okay. So the basic concept of digital signature you have understood, and the variety of schemes have been discussed along with digital signature. So I'll wrap up this class with this, and we'll start a new topic in the next class. Okay. So I hope all of you have put your signature, not signature, your attendance in your attendance sheet, and I'll also pass the video link in the same sheet. Okay. So I'll end this class here. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.